What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is Dark Host. We got a reaction about do animals know they exist? It's a philosophy kind of video. We'll be chatting it up, giving my opinions and all that on this. So yeah, let's get on in.
Right now, there's a dog lying on a couch somewhere, staring at the wall. And if you asked its owner what it's thinking about, they'd probably say something like nothing, or food, or squirrels. But what if that's wrong? What if behind those eyes there's something looking back? What if that dog knows, on some level, that it exists? Or,
Did you know that there was a there was a white doodle that an owner had? And it's like if you ever see those dogs that are on the internet and they give them like those buttons and choices to choose. That's pretty much what they were doing with that doodle, and it became too self aware and got depressed and was needed to be put on meds to be able to handle itself. So there's a little story.
and this is the question that should actually keep you up at night, what if it doesn't? What if you are the only kind of thing in the entire universe that knows it's alive? In 1970, a psychologist named Gordon Gallup Jr. came up with what is still considered the gold standard test for self-awareness in animals. It's called the mirror test. While it's unconscious, you put a small mark somewhere on its body. A
Did you? It is true. If you put a mirror in front of a dog, it'll act like it's another dog or one of itself. It won't know immediately that it's just a reflection of itself.
dot of paint on its forehead, a sticker on its ear. Somewhere it can only see in a mirror, not by looking
Exact
down.
copy.
Then you put it in front of a mirror and watch what happens. Most animals see their reflection and think it's another animal. They posture, they bark, they
Mm-hmm.
try to scare it off.
Told you.
Eventually, they get bored and walk away, never once understanding that the thing they were threatening was themselves.
You sound like
But
a
a
damn
handful of
man.
animals do
Cause I
something
am a
different.
man, dude.
They
I'm nearly
see the mark,
20, bro.
they look at the mirror, they look back at themselves, and they reach up and touch the mark on their own body. They understand that the reflection is them. The animals that pass? Chimpanzees, bonobos, orangutans,
Bonobo.
gorillas, but only occasionally. Dolphins, orca whales, elephants, and one bird, the Eurasian magpie, a crow-sized creature with a brain the size of your thumb that apparently knows what it looks like. The animals that fail? Dogs, cats,
What?
almost every other mammal on Earth, including, for the first 2 years of their
No,
lives, human
I do not
babies.
know
Now
who
here's
that
where it gets
is.
complicated, because a lot of scientists think the mirror test is a terrible way to measure self-awareness. Dogs, for example, live in a world built almost entirely on
Since, yeah,
smell,
that is
not
true.
sight.
Yeah.
Asking a dog to recognize itself in a mirror might be like asking you to
Why is he popular or something? Is that his actual like username? Darman?
identify yourself from a
Yeah,
recording
maybe.
of your own heartbeat.
I don't know.
The format of the test is wrong, not the dog. In 2017, a researcher named Alexandra Horowitz modified the test. Instead of a mirror, she gave dogs a scent version. Their own urine, altered urine, and completely
Oh, this is exactly what I was talking about too, with giving them the options and the buttons and stuff. This is exactly what I was saying.
urine,
Uh,
and watched which one they spent the most time investigating. Dogs spent significantly more time with the altered version of their own scent. They noticed something about themselves had changed. By their own rules, in their own sensory world,
little loud.
dogs may know
Better now.
exactly who they are. But knowing who you are is different from knowing that you are. There's a distinction philosophers have been
Just
arguing
blew
about
out
for
my eardrums.
centuries.
My
It's
fault.
the difference
Sorry.
between being a self and knowing
It's
you're a
good
self,
now though.
between having experiences and knowing you have experiences. There's a word for this: metacognition. Thinking about your own thinking, being aware of your own awareness.
Oh, I
It's
hate
what
this
you're doing
shit,
right now,
bro.
actually.
My
You're not just
God.
reading these
Ugh.
words. You
You
know
don't
that you're
have to
reading these
describe
words.
me,
You can zoom out
motherfucker.
from yourself and observe yourself from the outside. That's the question. Can animals do that? And the answer, increasingly, is yes. But it's messier than anyone expected. In 2007, researchers at the University of Georgia ran an experiment on rhesus monkeys. They gave the monkeys a memory test, and after each question gave them a choice: take a hard test worth more points, or take an easy test worth fewer. The monkeys consistently chose easier questions when they were uncertain of the answer, harder questions when they felt confident. They weren't just answering questions, They were evaluating how well they knew the answer before they gave it. That's metacognition. That's an animal thinking about its own thinking. And it doesn't stop at monkeys. Rats have been shown to opt out of tests they haven't studied for, choosing a smaller guaranteed
I'm muted.
reward over gambling on a question they're not sure about.
You forget
Pigeons
I have
can
a
report
Stream
their
Deck?
own memory failures. Dolphins have been observed hesitating before answering, in a way that mirrors human uncertainty. These animals aren't just reacting to the
Thinking
world.
about your
They're
thinking, that's
modeling their
exactly,
own
yeah.
internal states. They know when they know something. They know when they don't. But here's what science still can't crack. All of that, the mirror recognition, the metacognition, the self-modeling, it's all behavioral. We can watch what animals do. We cannot get inside what they feel. There's a concept philosophers call qualia, the raw subjective texture of experience, the specific redness of red, the particular pain of a paper cut, the feeling of being you, right now, in this moment. Is there something it feels like to be a dog? Or is the dog just running biological software, processing inputs, producing outputs, with nobody home? The philosopher Thomas Nagel made this famous in a 1974 paper with one of the greatest titles in academic history. What is it like to be a bat? His argument was simple and devastating. Bats navigate by echolocation.
Yeah.
They experience the world as a landscape of sound reflections that we literally cannot imagine. And no matter how much we study...
So it's kind of like being blind. You go blind, but your hearing becomes more enhanced because, I mean, I don't know if that is actually how it works, but I mean, you lose one sense, another sense is heightened because you have to rely on another sense more often, so you're sharpening that sense.
bat brains and bat behavior, we will never know what it feels like to be one. The inner experience is inaccessible. And if we can't know what it's like to be a bat, how do we know there's anything it's like to be anything other than us? Some scientists think we're massively underestimating animals. In 2012, a group of neuroscientists gathered at Cambridge University and signed what became known as the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. Their conclusion, the neurological structures that produce consciousness in humans are not unique to humans. Birds and mammals, and possibly other creatures, possess the same neural substrates for conscious states. In plain English, the hardware that runs consciousness in your brain exists in their brains too. The lights, they argued, are probably on. Frans de Waal, one of the world's leading primatologists, spent decades watching chimpanzees and argued that the question of whether animals have inner lives was almost backwards. We should be shocked, he said, if they didn't. Evolution doesn't tend to invent something from scratch. Consciousness almost certainly evolved gradually, just like legs, like eyes, like lungs, which means it probably exists on a spectrum, and we are not at one end of it and everything else at the other. We're all somewhere along the same line. And then there's the one piece of evidence that's hardest to explain away. Grief. In 2018...
Like, dude, that's like the thing I'm still like, like, the one, it's been my whole entire life because I grew up in a religious family. You know, I still believe, you know, that there is a God, but, you know, like, evolution and all of that, it is a thing, but I don't know, it's just a confusing concept that can be talked about a lot and can go a lot of different ways, but
a killer whale named Tahlequah lost her calf. The baby died shortly after birth, and for 17 days, Tahlequah carried the body of her dead calf on her head.
It's hard to explain in words what I think. It's
As she swam. 17 days. Across more than
it's
1,000
weird.
miles of ocean. The rest of her pod took turns helping her carry it when she got tired. Scientists called it a tour of grief, the longest recorded in any non-human species, and no one had a clean behavioral explanation for it. It wasn't about survival. It wasn't about feeding. There was no evolutionary advantage to carrying a dead body for over 2 weeks across open ocean, except that maybe she knew her calf was gone and couldn't let go. If that's not the behavior of a creature that knows something existed and now doesn't, what is? So where does that leave us? The science says, yes, some animals can recognize themselves. Yes, they can think about their own thinking. Yes, they feel something, probably. But the innermost question, the one you actually want answered, does the dog lying on the couch know it's alive? That one we still can't fully reach. Here's what
Yeah,
we do know.
literally.
The more closely we look at animals, the more the gap narrows. Every decade of research closes the distance a little more. Abilities we once thought were uniquely human, language, tool use, culture, mourning, self-recognition, keep turning up in other species. The wall between us and them has been getting shorter for as long as we've been studying them, which raises an uncomfortable question. If we've been wrong
True.
this whole time, if animals do exist in some meaningful sense, if there's something it's like to be them, if they feel and grieve and know themselves, then the way we treat them isn't just an ethical question.
Hmm.
It's something we've been getting wrong for all of human history, and the only reason we got away with it this long is because we couldn't ask them. There's a chimpanzee named
Yeah.
Washoe who, in 1966, became the first non-human animal to learn American Sign Language. She learned over 350 signs. She taught
I
some
mean,
of them
if
to
we're
her son.
forgetting about parrots, parrots can also learn human language. But I don't know if they. The thing with parrots is, I don't know if they're thinking or they're just copying what they're hearing, and that's just like stored in their brain. They just
One day, a researcher who
say
had been gone
whatever.
for a long time
I
came
don't
back
know.
to visit. Washoe hadn't seen her in months.
That's why I do want a parrot, so I could teach it to talk and I can have it in the background of the streams. How dope would that be? A talking parrot in the background of my streams.
When Washoe saw her, she signed, "Cry." Then she pointed at the researcher's eyes. "Cry." She wanted to know why the researcher wasn't crying, why she wasn't as moved as Washoe was. Whether or not Washoe understood her own existence, she understood yours. Maybe that's where it
I mean, yeah, I think it's. It would be tough, I do agree. I think it's just like. Um, it's like it's a connection. There has to be like, you know, animals are surrounded by animals. Like for instance, like if like there was a dog, like the very first dog that's ever lived on this earth, like something like that. But over the years, there's been adaptations and evolutions to the brain of animals and all that stuff. So I mean, now I think it's that you either have how the fuck do I explain? I'm trying to. uh, Holy shit! Oh, I can't even think. Like I don't know. I guess you just like live in harmony together. Like it's like you being like you having a pet. It'll realize that it has meaning to live. I guess that's the way you could put it. And goes the same way with them other animals, wild animals living with their own species. So I guess that's the best way I could have put that in my own words at the end of this video. But yeah. If y'all do like more of this, do like these philosophies, I do like them. I want to talk more. You know, I want to create a community like this where we can talk, we can all have conversations and all this stuff. But yeah, other than that, make sure to please hit that subscribe button and the like and the notifications for when I am uploading more. Recently now. But other than that, I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.